Welcome to the webinar. We're going to get started now. So as I say, we're covering speed networking today. So one of the features of BloggerBridge is to facilitate speed networking, such as we'll be doing at the upcoming TBEX Europe conference in Costa Brava in Spain. And so what we're going to cover today is we usually do webinars for companies, and then the other weeks we do webinars for bloggers or content creators. This webinar is for both. So we're going to look at both ends of the speed networking. We're going to start with what the companies see, and I'm showing that to the bloggers because you'll get some idea from that what you should have in your profile. Then we're going to jump back to what the bloggers see. Some parts of it are the same. And then we're going to also then talk about profiles and what you should have in your profile so that you can be readily seen, or how you should interact with the companies. As you enter, please give us some information about you. So put in the questions area where you're coming from, what your blog or company is. So we have gotten into BloggerBridge here. You should be able to see my screen. And we have gotten into the tbex.bloggerbridge.com. Every time we do speed networking, we do it under a particular brand. We've also got speed networking coming up at NMX. Last year, we also did speed networking at the DMAI, the Destination Marketing Association International Conference in Las Vegas. And we always have you come in via one of these co-branded versions. So if you're at bloggerbridge.com, you should still see a TBEX Europe tab if you're set up correctly. If you don't see that tab, it means that BloggerBridge doesn't know that you're attending. It could be that you signed up with a different email address, or that you just signed up recently, because we do a manual import, and therefore there's some delay, a day or two after you register before you show up in speed networking. But if you're in the system, you should have a TBEX Europe 2015 tab if you're ready to go. If you click that tab, from the regular BloggerBridge, bloggerbridge.com, it will redirect you over here to tbex.bloggerbridge.com so that you're in the right place. That may mean you have to log in again, though, because you can have different logins. Your browser doesn't realize they're the same site. So we're coming in as a company. Specifically, I'm coming in right now as the version of me that owns a company, which is BloggerBridge. And it says here that I'm signed up for speed networking, both sessions of speed networking. We're doing 2 hours of speed networking twice, so 4 hours of speed networking total. Each connection, each time we meet with somebody, is going to be for 8 minutes and then 2 minutes to move. And so here's what a schedule looks like. You'll notice for this particular company that I have one set of appointments available at 3:40, one at 3:50. If I want to bring a second person who is registered for the conference, then I can add an additional chair, and now I have 2 sets of appointments at 3:40. But don't do that unless you're bringing another person. We have had some people who want to have 2 people at a time do it. You can do that if you like. We don't really recommend it. We're saying if you're there by yourself, it's probably better just to do one at a time. But that is how you get 2 sets of appointments, is you click the add chair, or you remove the chair if the other person cancels. If you have appointments scheduled, if I had an appointment here and an appointment here, and I tried to remove the chair, it's going to make my session is going to make me choose first. I have to cancel one of those. Basically, if I have 2 appointments at any one time, I can't remove that chair until I deal with the fact that I have 2 appointments. So just be aware of that if you ever do have somebody cancel and you have to change your appointment schedule. So this is speed networking. Again, from the company side, the company is going to use search to find bloggers. So they're going to click over here on travel bloggers, and they're going to find bloggers who will meet with companies at TBEX Europe 2015. If you are a blogger and you don't want to meet with companies, check that off. They can actually do some other searches as well, but we recommend you do this one. And then you can look for particular bloggers. So for instance, here at BloggerBridge, I'm particularly interested in venture travel. So I can go here and say, I'm interested in venture travel, and I could just search for everybody. And it's going to find me a list of adventure travelers, and I can sort that by last name, first name, state, city, state. Some more interesting things are sorted by Moz Domain Authority, and that means sorted by how good a site someone has in terms of SEO. So how good the quality of their links are. A newer site is going to tend to rank lower, and a site with lots of links to it that has good content is going to tend to rank higher. So that's good. A monthly page views is going to use the Google Analytics. So if you haven't put your Google Analytics in your account, when someone sorts by monthly page views, you will drop to the bottom because your monthly page views are NA not available. Monthly podcast downloads is a new feature that we've got in there since the previous version. Podcast numbers right now are self-reported, but if you're a podcaster, put your numbers in. Monthly traffic is the combination between the two. We're counting downloads the same as page views. That's, we can debate whether that's a good way to do that. Personally, as a podcaster, I think they should be weighted higher, but we don't. Alexa rank is in the alexa.com system. How popular do they think your blog is? So for instance, this blog is the 4 millionth most popular blog in the world. This blog is the 238th most popular blog, 38,000th most popular blog in the world. The Alexa numbers are a sample, they're flawed, but what I would do is count the number of digits. And so consider this one a 6 and this one a 7, where the number of digits is better. Don't worry too much. This one is probably less popular than this one, but if this one was 242,000, there's just too much error in there for that to be a significant digit. You can also sort by Instagram followers, for instance, or Pinterest followers, YouTube subscribers, clout scores, all those sorts of things. And so as you are a blogger, these are the sort of things that companies are going to be looking for. So it's something that you should think about in terms of making sure you have your information in there. Emily, I see you say you've got a BloggerBridge account with a different email address. Yeah, if you've done that, if you've signed up for TBEX with a different one than it's in BloggerBridge and your BloggerBridge profile's filled out already, ping me. You can always ping me down here on the Contact BloggerBridge. Right now, it's going to collect that information and send an email because I've got the chat window closed. But if I've got my chat window open, it's going to ping me right away and we'll fix that for you. It's fairly easy to fix, so we can do that really quickly. So if you know somebody specifically looking for it and you remember their blog name, or you just want to find all blogs that contain, I want to say nomad, but that's pretty useless. Mommy, let's say I'm looking for only the people who are family bloggers. I can either, look for particular blog names that have that in there, or I can look for blog descriptions, for instance. Nope, not finding any there. How about blog descriptions that say parent in them, for instance, to try and find somebody with family travel. So I'm going to find some things there, or maybe I'm looking instead for just blogs. For instance, somebody asked me this recently about blogs that contain golf. I'm not surprised I don't find any. That with this, it doesn't seem to be more popular. But if I said blogs that contain scuba, for instance, then I'm going to potentially find some. Oh no, how about diving? Yeah, so then I'm going to find some in there. So I can search for that. I can also search for bios, again, up here, which is the information about the person. Again, I can filter by traffic. I can just look for blogs with more than 10,000 page views. I can also filter by social media followers, as well as YouTube subscribers in there. And I can also say I'm looking for bloggers. So I remember when I talked to the person from San Francisco, she said what she did is she said, I want to find bloggers near New York City. Anytime we give a location in this fashion over here, we're doing a city, and it's going to be the city and within 50 kilometers of that city. And so it's going to find me a set of people who either are in New York City or who have plans to travel to New York City. So that's going to be how we're going to use your travel schedules. If you are done with speed networking later on, you can actually use that for searching for people who are going to be in a city in a specific day, although we don't do that for speed networking. I can also search for what country they registered from. So this would be their home base, and this would be where they're going to be. So this is actually going to use their schedule. This over here is not. Traffic, social media places. We can also say, again, specific types of blogs, what they have done, men or women, how long they've been blogging. If you know someone specifically, you can search for them that way. So once I find someone, so I'm going to cheat here and say I'm looking for, I've heard that amateur traveler guy is pretty interesting. And so I'm going to find, oops, what did I do here? Problem with search. I have to make sure that I take off the other things. These are all cumulative. And so I was looking for amateur traveler who is going to be near New York City, and I'm not. So once you find a blogger, You can look at their profile here. This is a well filled out profile, as you would hope, because it is my profile. So you've got your bio goes here. If you are a member of the PTBA, the Professional Travel Bloggers Association, and you don't see a badge here, that means that we don't have you in the system. It probably means you signed up with a different email address in BloggerBridge than you did for the PTBA. So here are your social media numbers. There can be a delay as you click on that, because if we haven't updated your numbers in a week, we will update your numbers when you click on that. And so here's, particular information about this particular blogger and what the social media is. You can have more than one blog in your blog sessions. And down here in my blog, for instance, it also does list my Google Analytics. These will not show up to you if you are a blogger. You'll see yours and no one else's. But if you're a company, you will see people's stats. And those are my stats, as well as the tags and how they're tagging their content. You can have multiple sites. And so if you have multiple blogs, go ahead and add them in here. Over on your right-hand side, you'll see when we get into the view as a blogger, there will be a way to add a blog. You can see their travel schedule. Here's my travel schedule here, where I'm going to be. And so you can see whether they're going to be somewhere near you. And then also you can see an example page, which has examples of their work. And so, for instance, the blogger or the content creator decides on these particular topics. There is no specific topics. You can choose your own categories. These are the categories that made sense for my content. Also here you can see notes. And as a company, you can create notes for any particular blogger, and those notes are visible just to your company. Reviews are the opposite. Reviews are, I get to see what some other company has reviewed this blogger and what they've said about him, somebody else who has worked with him or her. So that's basically what you're going to do is you're going to find someone. Oh, let me go back to Chris here. And once I have looked at the profile, I can say, yeah, that sounds good. I have two different options here. One is I can send a message, and two is I can send an invitation. Right now, invitations don't contain a message, so the combination might be good. You might send someone a message and say, I saw your profile. I saw that you do podcasting. I'm really interested in that, and therefore I want to send you an invitation. So a message is going to be basically a way to send text, and then an invitation is basically going to mark as this person now is being invited to meet with you. And so you can see up here are your invitations extended and your invitations received. I have no invitations received. Now I'm going to switch browsers here, and we're going to go look at the other side of this. I am now Chris Christensen, and so I'm going over here to my TBEX Europe 2015. I've got nothing on my schedule so far, and I have that's interesting. There's a bug. I'll fix that later on. There's supposed to be a list of the invitations there, but it's not showing up. But if I check my email, I should have an invitation from the system. I did do an invitation, right? Yeah, I may have to fix a bug here later. So when I get an invitation to the system, which I will take a look at earlier. Oh, do we have that turned on yet? Yeah, I think we do. So basically, when I get an invitation, if I want to accept that, then I, as the person who receives the invitation, will get to pick the time. So if a blogger gets invited by a company, then the blogger picks the time. If a company gets invited by the blogger, then the company picks the time. The reason these all say available is that I can meet at those times. If I want to block out some of these, I can just do that, and they are now reserved for later use. It might be that I've got a side meeting that's going on or something like that, or I just want to preserve part of my schedule because I don't think I'm going to be there at 3:40, or I want to save something just in case my schedule fills up. Most schedules will not fill up. Most blogger schedules will not fill up. We have a lot more bloggers than we do companies. And most, just to be honest, most invitations will not be equally distributed. Companies will be sorting and searching, trying to find particular people. So let me do this the opposite way. I'm going to go over here to the companies, and I'm going to say, I want to invite BloggerBridge, and I'm going to, here again, get my chance to accept or decline the invitation. If I decline the invitation here, then the company is going to get notified. Or I can also if I hadn't been invited here, I can invite the particular company. Again, invitations go both ways. And then let's go over here and see, as the company, I get invitation received. And let me show you how to receive things. So I can accept, decline, or message. If I accept it, this is the scheduling. So I get to choose what time we meet, and it's only going to show me times where I am available and the other person who invited me is available. So if I choose that as the company, then I'm going to see Chris's profile show up on my schedule. And then over here as the blogger, I'm going to see the company's logo show up. That's what's going on over here in speed networking. I'll fix the bug that we ran into there. And also from the blogger side, you can search for other bloggers who are attending TBEX, and you can basically message them and say, hey, I see you're going to be there, and let's get together, or can you do lunch or whatever. And again, you have most of the same features, except that you can only search for public information. You can't search for anything with page numbers because we're not going to show you their page rank. We're not going to show you their Google Analytics, for instance. So these are all public numbers, so you can search for those. But you can't search things that are not public, because we won't show them to you. That's just not something we've had permission from the blogger to show you. But you can search by, for people who are from your area or people with similar interests and the like. So I can say, I'm interested in knowing who are the business travel bloggers, and I can do a search here and find out, for instance, even who are the ones with the most social followers, for instance. And those numbers are all public, and therefore it's fairly easy to see. That would be Katja and Injin and Marissa, for instance, and me, do some blogging in terms of business travel, and Mary Jo. So that's the way the system works. Are there questions? Let's see if my invitation showed up here. Yeah, here's what an invitation looks like when you receive one. So you've received a speed networking invitation from such and such, and if you click accept, you can accept it directly from the email. It will take you over to the system. Okay, so questions that I can answer about speed networking or about setting up your profile. This is me as a blogger to set up my profile. Go here to profile. Many of you will still have a getting started button. If you don't see that, that's basically going to be just BloggerBridge start, and that's basically going to be a checklist of things to do to set up your profile, which includes setting up things like what kind of things you do. Here's your product list. And it also includes adding new blogs if you have multiple blogs, updating your profile information. That's where you'd set your bio, for instance. You can cut and paste into your bio if you want bolding and things like that. It is a WYSIWYG editor. All right, I'm gonna pause here again for questions. Is there a way to get a rundown on what we talked about because you're late? Yes, we're going to be putting this up as a recording. That's going to be the best way to find that out. I'll send that out information. I think we'll be sending that information out via the TBEX newsletter. Sorry you're late, Travis. Can I enter multiple categories? In terms of categories, yes. So in your blog, for instance, notice that my blog has all of these different categories. You get up to 20 categories right now, and you get to pick which 20. So let me add one here just because the interface here is not my favorite. So for instance, I can talk about places I go or topics. Click on topics to find more. Click on travel. We're filtering this for TBEX just to travel topics, but these will still go on your profile for later on. And so here I can look at up to 20 different tags. So if I wanted to say family friendly, I would click, I'm already at 20 is my problem. So I can click family friendly, for instance, if I'm not already over the limit and I'm at 20. So I'm going to take that off again. That's all you need to do. You can also suggest topics, although we're probably not adding any new topics for TBEX, but it's always useful. In general, make sure that if you're suggesting a subtopic of travel, you're in travel when you do it. that's how that works. Did that answer your question, Inta? Do these categories transfer your TBEX blog profile? Do you mean to your? I'm not sure I understand the question, Inta. This is your TBEX blog profile, but these topics do transfer to your. So the profile you're setting up in TBEX for speed networking, by the way, is the same profile you would have if you went to bloggerbridge.com, and it's the same profile people will be using to search our customers who pay for BloggerBridge beyond TBEX, some of whom aren't even attending TBEX, and also those companies who are doing speed networking will have a regular BloggerBridge account for with purchasing speed networking. They also purchase 1, 2, or 3 months worth of BloggerBridge, so they will get some additional features which we didn't talk about today. So, for instance, for companies, afterwards you're going to see. So you'll notice my tabs here are all lit up because I'm a premium user. You will have these lit up also after we turn your site on for the regular account after TBEX, and then that means you'll have search of all of the profiles in the system, not just travel bloggers and not just the people attending TBEX. And also you could put in location searches. You can say, let me know when somebody is coming to Barcelona and send me an email, or you can list opportunities. You can advertise them to the community at large. So for instance, if I go here as a blogger to opportunities, you can add something to this list of things that lets me see that you want to work with bloggers and how you want to work with bloggers. So that's all something that your profile into would be useful for after TBEX as well. Bethany, I don't see a follower count for Facebook. So Facebook, not Facebook pages, but Facebook profiles don't report followers. That is something they report only to people who follow you. So they don't report it through your API. So we don't currently report that through BloggerBridge because we can't even scrape it off the page. So we do report followers for, let me go over here to my profile, because I think I have every system that we do. So we report followers for Facebook pages, not profiles, for Google+, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter and YouTube right now, including total views of videos in YouTube, by the way. That's new since last time. Okay, before this webinar, it seemed like I needed to create a TBEX profile. No. We created a profile for everybody who registered for the system. So if you registered for TBEX, you already have a profile, unless you registered in the last day or so. There is some delay, as I said. So we created a profile for you already. Preferably, you registered with the same email. If you already had a profile, you registered with the same email, and we'll just use the profile you used last time or the profile you set up on your own. It's for pages. I don't see a follower count for my page. Then ping me, Bethany, because something's wrong. If you're not seeing a follower count for Facebook, ping me on the support thing and I can take a look. Sometimes things get entered wrong. They get entered as a Facebook profile and not as a page, and that will cause them not to have numbers. Or sometimes there's some weird thing about that particular page. Any other questions? Like, take one more minute here to do questions before I stop the recording, and then I'll stick around for another 5 minutes afterwards. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to click the stop recording button. So thank you all who are watching the webinar after the fact, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in Costa Brava.